Okay, hello everyone. Thank you all for coming to our next event of Crypto Investors Munich. I think we have a very exciting evening today because we're going to see some projects and hopefully something that will also turn out to be long-term, which are really at the core of the possibilities of the blockchain technology. So I'm very, very proud to have here some platforms, some ideas, some projects that are focused on decentralization. When you hear about blockchain, when you hear about what's going on and about some great ideas and what you can do, many of them miss out the core advantage or the core game changer, which is decentralization. And this is not the case here. I see some projects which are really going to have an impact on the industry, I hope so, and that have the potential to do that without sacrificing on the idea of decentralization and the blockchain technology. But before we start, one question to you. So how many of you have heard about token sale or ICO? Okay, almost everyone. And how many of you have invested in some tokens or ICOs? Okay, maybe half of you. And how many of you have already created your own token or maybe offered for a token sale? Okay, quite a few, very, very good. So I think after this evening, maybe you will wish to invest, or maybe not. Or maybe you will have also your own idea, and also you would. Was there a question? Okay. Or maybe you'll have some your own idea that you would like to be represented through a token. I don't know, but there are lots of opportunities, and I hope you will get some clearer idea after this evening. And today we'll start with Etherisc. They're going to present their vision of decentralized insurance. Then we will have HEROcoin with the decentralized online betting. Is right? Same. And then we'll have Iconiq Lab, which is basically an accelerator in this space, which is also very interesting. So I will kick out this evening, but before we do that, a few words to our hosts, which is Deloitte. Thank you very much for this room and for sponsoring the soft drinks. And yeah, thank you. So
yeah, thank you. I think this is now the third time that we are fourth time. Oh yeah, we are happy that we host events like these. I'm Sven Buschke. I'm part of the Deloitte Blockchain Institute. I'm a senior manager here, and I'm actually the lead of the legal labs of the Blockchain Institute. So we are tackling the legal issues or the regulatory issues. Like for instance, at the moment we are working on how to trace back any transactions which happen in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. How can we deal with Bitcoin mixing? There's a lot of demand at the moment. So if you have any interest in this and would like to work with us, just feel free to contact me. And I already heard there are some people waiting downstairs, so that's all from my side. And yeah, let's kick it off.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, hello, and very nice that I can speak to you this evening. My name is Christoph Mussenbrock from Etherisc. I'm one of the founders of Etherisc, And I want to show you how our idea and our vision of a decentralized insurance looks like. And before I start, I would like to go into one question. This is a question: why blockchain? Why are we going to use blockchain? Because, as you know, blockchain as a technology has many disadvantages. It's slow, it does not scale, it has privacy problems, you can trace every transaction. We heard this right now. And it seems that this is quite the wrong technology to use for insurance. And so there must be a big driver for us to put insurance on blockchain. And I just want to show you our basic idea behind this, why we are going to use blockchain and why we are convinced that blockchain is the right choice for a new step in insurance industry and for a new a century or a new age of insurance. And I would like to start with this simple number. This is 4 billion euros per year, which is lost in insurance fraud. And why is this such a huge number? This is such a huge number because insurance fraud is thought by many people as some kind of gentleman's delict or peccadillo, and we have numbers that nearly 20% of all Germans think that insurance deserves to be frauded. And so why is this? This comes because insurance is based on, in its core, it's based on misaligned incentives. Because when you buy an insurance, everything is fine. Yeah, so you have a broker or a salesperson, and he sells you your insurance policy, and then everything is fine because you don't have a loss. But as soon as you have a loss, you are in conflict with the insurance, because the insurance will try to minimize the payout, and you, of course, want to maximize your payout. So there is a, in the case where you need the insurance, there is a misalignment of incentives, and this is a big problem. And how is it solved today? It's solved by regulations. Yeah, tons of papers and tons of terms and conditions, and you know all these thick papers which you get if you sign in insurance, because the regulator says, okay, because there is such a conflict, we have to solve this by putting many obligations and many burdens on the insurance, that the insurance does not fraud the insured, and vice versa. And this overregulation leads to a bad customer experience. It takes very long to claim a loss, and the process is very cumbersome, and at the end you end up at court, and you try to get some judge to give you your right, and it drives the costs because everybody has to secure the whole process, and this is driving the costs. And so we thought, how can we change this? And we changed this by putting blockchain in this space, and I will illustrate this by a very simple example. There is an alternative, and our alternative is illustrated by our very first product, which is flight delay. The problem behind flight delay is that people get delayed. There are many flights which are delayed, and of course you have a right for compensation. If your flight is very late, for example in Europe, you have a right to be compensated if your flight is delayed more than 3 hours. But then you have to go to the airline, you have to claim it, you need maybe a lawyer, and so on. So this is very cumbersome also. There are some companies which have specialized for claiming these rights, and they are very successful. And this is a very good idea to make this process more smooth. But still, 3 hours is a very long delay, and there is no solution for delays shorter than 3 hours. And our product here, flight delay, is targeting this area between 15 minutes and 3 hours. So if as soon as your flight is delayed more than 15 minutes, you get a payout. And how does it work? It's very simple. It works completely on the blockchain. And you apply for a policy, you put in your name and some data and your flight number or flight data, and then you directly get a policy or an offer of a policy, and then you can decide if you accept it and you apply, or if you cancel this. And the special thing is that we calculate the payout and the probability of a payout in the very first step. So the customer sees, if in this case there is a flight BA 178, it's British Airways, and so this flight has a probability of delay of 3% and for 15 to 29 minutes. And it has a probability of delay of 3% around about for delays more than 45 minutes, but there were no cancelled and diverted flights in the last 3 months, because all this data is calculated from the last 3 months. And so you can apply for this, and in the lower row there is the payout. So in a case of 15 minutes you get a payout of 37 Ether. This is a cryptocurrency which we use. We are on Ethereum blockchain. So if you pay 5 Ether premium, then you get a payout of 37 Ether. This is roughly the factor 8, and if you are longer delayed for 56 minutes, then you get a factor 10, and if your flight is cancelled, then you get even a payout in a factor of 30. So 150 Ether for a delay of for cancelled flight, and a bit less for a delay which is more than 45 minutes. So then you apply, and then you can pay with Ether with your crypto wallet. This is the box in the top left corner. This is a Ethereum wallet, and there are other wallets also, but this is a sample wallet. And then if you accept it, then you pay these 5 Ether and you get the policy. Of course, you can also pay with a credit card. Then we change your money in Ether in the background. You don't have to care about wallets and cryptocurrency. Just pay your premium with dollars or euros. And then you have applied for the policy, and then the interesting thing happens. This is the last step for us and for you, which is happening manually, because the complete process from now on, after the application, is performed automatically. You can see the policy here in your list, and now the smart contract on the blockchain, which is an autonomous smart contract which is running completely on itself. This smart contract checks the flight at the moment of the start and until the moment of the landing, and it calculates the delay. And if the plane is still in the air at the time of the scheduled landing, then half an hour later the contract asks again, plane still in the air, and again until the plane has landed. Then the delay is calculated, and immediately a payout is issued. So there is no possibility, neither for the customer nor for the insurance company, to interfere with this process. In the moment the customer applies for the policy, there is a last step where anybody can change the behavior of this contract. And this is the change of behavior, because normally the insurance company would always be in the position to defend the claim, and to say, no, the airplane had a problem, and we have a certain number in our terms and conditions, and there was an earthquake, or there was a volcano, whatever. So the insurance company can always deny the claim. And here in our smart contract, this isn't possible, because the smart contract is completely autonomous and nobody can interfere with this. And this is a game changer. The blockchain enables us to build processes which are tamper-proof, and neither the one party, the customer, nor the other party, the insurance company, can interfere with this process. And this sounds quite simple and trivial, but this is a game changer. This is a completely change of the whole process, because the insurance company delegates the power of paying out to a smart contract which is not which can't be tampered with. And this is the big change here, and we have implemented this as a simple example, the flight delay, but also we have also another example. This is the crop insurance. The crop insurance is the same principle. There is a small farmer in Africa who has maybe some acres of crop, and nowadays there isn't an insurance for this, because to offer an insurance policy to a small farmer in Africa is much too expensive. There are simply no insurance products for such people. And now we can offer a policy for the farmer here. He selects his crop and his seed grade, the quality, the acreage and the location. He simply clicks on the map. And of course in the background there is some mechanism to check that he has a field at this location. And then he applies for the policy, and again from this point on the whole process is operated on the blockchain. So in the case of a drought or a flood, a satellite checks the weather conditions and he makes a signal that there has been a drought or a flood. And then this information is transferred to the blockchain, and the blockchain triggers the payout. So again, there's nobody who can interfere, and in this case the process is also very cheap in comparison to standard insurance processes, because all of the processes on the blockchain, there is not even an IT infrastructure which has to be paid, because the whole process runs on a public blockchain which is paid by very small transaction fees. So in this case we are able to offer an insurance policy at minimum cost for people who have no access to insurance right now. And this contract here is 99% code identical to the flight delay insurance. So similar insurance, different insurance products are processed by nearly identical smart contracts, and this leads to another idea, so to the idea of a complete decentralized platform. Not only one product, not only two products, not a company which offers products, but a whole platform with many participants which can take any role and which can work together and build insurance products on a blockchain in a decentralized manner. Basically, our vision is that an insurance is in the future not much more than simply a software library which you can import. Think about, for example, a solar energy provider who operates many solar panels distributed over the country, and every solar panel owner has a certain amount of energy which he puts in the network, and he gets paid for this. And now we could offer very simple so-called sunshine guarantee. People who have a solar panel on their roof, they get a guarantee that their annual income is guaranteed at a certain level, because we can build a smart contract which receives the energy data and makes a payout in case the energy production is below a certain level, because, for example, there is rain or there is some other event which push the production down, and others who have an overproduction, they compensate for this. So we can very easily build a product. And somebody who builds a solar grid on the blockchain, and there are the first projects which do exactly this, they just can plug in our insurance solution in their smart contracts. So we have a platform where an insurance is just a software module which you can plug in, and you can build any product on the blockchain, and you can plug in an insurance product right from the start in a native way. So of course this sounds everything very simple, and of course the whole story is not that simple. For example, there are many legal and regulatory issues. Insurance is one of the most regulated branches in the industry, and in every country you have a regulator. And this is also a big entry barrier for new participants in the market. And for example, in Germany, you need about 10 million euros to start a new insurance company. And then you are one of the smallest ones. So to start an insurance business anywhere, you need much of capital, and you need a lot of expertise, you need actuaries, you need specialists. And of course, you have to prove this. You have to apply for a license, and this takes time, takes experts, and it takes a lot of money. And now we are trying to solve this problem also on a platform. There are many participants, and they are not able to go through this process. So we want to provide a service which offers license like a franchise. You can go on our platform and then you can somehow rent our license and build your own insurance products on top of this. And this model is not a new invention. We have these models, for example, in Malta and also in some other smaller countries which have specialized on such business models for insurance. These are called protected cells. A protected cell is basically a big insurance body, but which does not have an own operational business, but only bundles the regulatory and legal obligations and then underrents the license to interested parties. And for example, on Malta you can rent an insurance license for 75,000 euros, but still it's very difficult because you have to fulfill all the rest, the reportings and all the actuary obligations. So the capital is lower, but the process is as difficult as usual. So we want to go a step further, and we want to provide participants on the blockchain with a complete package which includes the license, the reporting and all this what you need to run an insurance product. And basically everybody should be able to build his own insurance product. My standard example would be a sports club which has a big competition, and they want to offer the participants of the sports event a certain insurance against casualties or damages. And they could go on our platform and use a certain template, and then they could build their own white labeled product for this event. And it starts maybe at the 1st of May and it ends on the 30th of May. And it should be that simple to build your own insurance products, and the platform will provide you with all the building blocks which are necessary to build such an insurance. Again, possible with blockchain. And this is the platform, and now we need some way to finance this platform, because such a platform is expensive. Of course, you can think if a normal insurance costs $10 million or euros to start, then a complete platform, which is very flexible and very generic, will cost even more. And this needs some financing. And our idea is now that we have the participants paying for this costs and for the capital for ramping up this insurance. So we will build a token, and the token will act as a means that people can engage on the platform. They can buy this token. They can also use the token as a payment, as a currency on the platform. They can exchange services, and they can even use the token as a medium to reward a certain quality of service quality, or to use it as a penalty. If somebody does not fulfill his obligations, then he loses his tokens or a certain amount of the tokens, which is also known in the blockchain world as proof of stake. Yeah? In proof of stake, which is the next generation of Ethereum, you basically take a certain obligation. In this in Ethereum, you take the obligations to produce blocks, and if you don't produce the blocks you are obliged to, then you lose your tokens or your Ether. On our insurance platform, a similar process will work. If you work together in producing insurance products, then you take an obligation. For example, you have a sales obligation, or obligation to provide a risk model, or an obligation to provide claims management, whatever. And if you don't fulfill your obligations, then you will either lose some tokens, or in case you do your work, then you get rewarded by tokens. So token is the basic currency on the platform, and this is also something which differentiates us from other projects, because as you know, we have seen it some minutes ago, most of you know what an ICO is and what token sale is. Tokens are hype. And many tokens are issued which basically have probably no value at all, because they are only used to collect money, and they don't have a function. Yeah, and because they don't have a function, they will stay meaningless and valueless in some years, because nobody will use them and can use them. And we are going in a different approach. We are building a token which has a clear utility on a platform with many participants, and so the token value will reflect the overall value all the participants have put on this platform in form of products, in form of licenses, in form of work, in form of software, in form of applications, whatever. So this is the idea. The token represents the value of the platform, and the sale of the token finances the ramp up of the platform. So two aspects. So first ramping up the platform, and then it keeps its value because it's used as a utility on the platform. For example, here's a diagram which shows on the left side the different roles: product management, actuary, legal, data provider. These are all roles which you find today in an insurance company. And at the bottom you have the process, and the green checks. These are the areas or the intersections where the token is used as a payment, as a reward, as a stake, whatever. And so there are many uses of the token on the platform, and this shows that the token will be used, and everybody knows that a token which is used will gain in value because it's a scarce resource. There will be always the same number of tokens. So the more tokens are used, the more value it gets. And the more participants on the platform, the higher the value of the token. And this is the crypto economic concept behind our token, and we think this is the only way which deserves to be called a utility token. And there are some other projects which have a similar approach, and of course we will interact with these projects and work together. And maybe even the tokens will be interchangeable. For example, maybe you have heard of Status. Status is a messenger platform, and they have done a big ICO with very high amounts. I think they earned $90 million, and they are now building a messenger platform like WeChat on blockchain. And they have offered us to cooperate with us, and they even sponsored building a mobile client for our flight delay. So Status is sponsoring an application which sells our product. And again, the other way around, after our token sale, we will sponsor other projects which build cool applications on our platform. And so there is an interaction of projects on the blockchain, and I think this is the basic vision which we have, and I think this can be it can become something really great. Okay, I go in the light so you can see me better. Okay, this is our team. We have a core team of 4, and we have behind this a large team of about 30 people now working on the Etherisc development. We have some very renowned advisors. Ron Bernstein is one of the creators of Augur. Augur is a prediction market on which one of the first big projects on Ethereum. Ralf Glavischnik is one of the representatives of the Crypto Valley in Zug, and is also very fascinated by insurance. He himself runs a software company for insurance companies. Jack Brookman is also in the crypto space, and William Mogaya is one of the core team of Ethereum. He was one of the early people who recognized the potential of Ethereum and promoted Vitalik Buterin and the whole team to build Ethereum, and he is now on our advisory board, and he's responsible for the crypto economic part, and he has written many books on this. Very recommended reading. And on the right side, our partners, which is EY, sorry, Deloitte. This is EY, but we are open to everybody, and I think there is much to do in this space. MME is our legal consultant. This is a leading blockchain legal company in Zug and Switzerland. They are also very engaged in the Crypto Valley. We have Inacta, which is, and Lakeside, which are Ralph's companies, and they are also engaged and co-founded, helps us with the token sale and the organizing of all these stuff we have to do now. And so I want to spend some last words on the legal structure. A platform is a bit a a complex thing, yeah, and we have platform should be open, so we need an open structure, and for this foundation is the ideal tool. And a foundation is from its core not for profit, it's open, and it has the ability to protect intellectual property, and therefore we will build up foundations, the so-called Decentralized Insurance Foundation, or DI Foundation. It's based in Zug. It's not profit, and this foundation will own all the intellectual property, all the protocol stuff, the concepts, the software. So this will be forever open source. Nobody can claim the rights, and of course it's inclusive, it's open, everybody is invited. And I will show you afterwards, we have a conference which is organized by this foundation, and it's open for everybody. And if you look at the speakers list, then you see all the insurance projects on blockchain, they are all on this conference, because it's open and it's community driven. On the other hand, we have the problem, the foundation, which will also perform the token sale. So all the money goes first in the foundation, and then the foundation has a bunch of money, but this money is finite, yeah? And after some years, you can have as much money as you like. After some years, money is used up. So the foundation needs some tool to generate income. And this tool is the so-called Etherisc Holding AG. It's a Zug-based AG. And this company is for profit, and it's a holding because it has subsidiaries, and the subsidiaries of this company are basically insurance companies in Germany, in Malta, in the US. And this holding AG and the subsidiaries have the important task to do all the legal stuff. They will apply for licenses. They will build up all the organizational stuff which we need for an insurance company. And then they will offer this to the participants of the platform. So we need the holding, because the foundation itself cannot run an insurance business. So we need this second pillar here. And the foundation controls the Etherisc Holding AG. So the holding AG will never be in a bad competition to the participants of the platform. This is also very important. Yeah? If the holding would be isolated, then it could work out that it goes in competition to all the other participants. And a bit competition is good, but the competition should not kill all the others. And so the DI Foundation ensures that the holding AG will always be a friendly participant of the platform and will not kill all the other participants. And this is also very important. So last thing, our roadmap, we are now in the stage of building up the operational model. We are talking to regulators. We have talked to regulators in Germany, in Switzerland, on Malta, in US, and also UK. And they're all very interested. This is very interesting. They are interested and they are very friendly. They are open and they say, okay, show me what you are doing and let's talk about this, and then we will find a way to get this running. So this is one of the main issues at the moment. We are also doing a lot of networking. For example, we are a member of the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. This is a big industry consortium with JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and Microsoft. All the big ones are members. And we, with a small Etherisc, is the chairman of the insurance working group there. And so we are building up this entity and use it as a medium to connect to industry partners and so on. In 2018, we will acquire licenses in different jurisdictions. In Germany, in Malta, we are already very far with the process. Germany will take a bit longer. And we, of course, we will further develop the protocol, that it becomes usable and that we have the first applications. And in 2019, we should be in a working mode that people can go on our platform, build their own insurance products, so the whole stuff which I have shown you. And this is the 3-year roadmap for our project. And of course, everything is very volatile, so we can guarantee that everything works out, but we are really confident that we can do this. Yeah, and of course, we will do a token sale. And some data on this token sale. we still have not an official announcement of the details of the token sale. The only thing which we say is, yes, there will be a token sale. It will be at the end of the year, and you will all be able to participate. And the conditions are, the only condition is you need KYC, so we need to identify you. This is becoming a standard in crypto land at the moment, because the old projects which have anonymous participants, they are coming under legal scrutiny. And we are in a regulated business, so we need KYC, everybody. So this is the only requirement. We will also invite US investors. Different from other projects, but these US investors have to be accredited investors, so people who have knowledge, who have experience in such investments. So otherwise we would come in some issues. The volume, we haven't defined the exact volume. The only thing which the number I have already told, we need much more than 10 million. Probably in the range between 20 and 50 million dollars, and we are trying to raise at least half of this amount before the TGE by soft commitments of interested parties, and we are on a very good way. So when we announce the TGE, we will already have some soft commitments of partners, of interested people, and maybe somebody here in this room is also willing to go in this first round. And then please contact us. We will sell not all the tokens, but we will sell between 20 and 60% of the tokens. The rest is kept in the foundation, and the foundation will give these tokens in small amounts to parties who build good stuff on the platform. So this is all the rest of the tokens is used to foster the adoption of the platform, so everybody who has a good project will be able to get some tokens of the foundation to start. And this is part of our sponsoring program. And of course, the foundation will keep most of this token as a fundament for future expansion and future development. So this is basically everything what you need to know about the token sale at the moment. We think we'll announce the details at the end of this month in Cancun. In Cancun, there is a big conference. This is starting with D1Conf. This is our conference, which we organize, and there are many very cool projects in the blockchain insurance space present their ideas. And after this, we have DevCon 3. DevCon 3 is a big Ethereum developer conference, and I think around this date we will publish the details of our token sale. So stay tuned. And if you like to participate, then just go on our GitHub channel, and on our homepage you can register for a newsletter. And it's very low frequency newsletter, and I think basically you will get one newsletter with the details of the token sale. Don't expect us to do much marketing on this channel. We have a blog also where we regularly publish our progress. And so I would be happy for many of you to participate in this, and of course now questions from your side. I'm here now directly, or of course after the event I'm here and I can answer more questions.
So the value proposition of insurance is security, and of course your token will be very volatile as any token. And so you run the infrastructure on it, you pay out in this token and so on. How will you solve this problem? That people can be sure that they have covered their insurance.
Okay, we have of course a classical setup for this. We have a so-called risk pool, and most of the money we collect will go in this risk pool, and not in cryptocurrency but in fiat currency. So we will probably exchange a lot of this money in fiat, so the volatility is not so high, and we will build up a risk pool which will act as a guarantee for all customers that their claims are fulfilled. And this is where we need the money for.
And it's not decentralized.
Yes, you are right. At the start, we need this ramp up. We can't jump from totally centralized in totally decentralized. Yeah, we need a way to go, and we want to go this way by a relatively small. Yeah, our holding will be, in comparison to other players, will be a small company. But this small company will enable other participants to sell their own insurance products, and we will serve the risk fund as long as this is needed. We have already some ideas how we can decentralize the risk pooling, because this is also very interesting. If an insurance needs much capital to cover for the claims, and we can very easily decentralize this process by just selling a special so-called risk pool token, which covers a certain kind of risk. And we have already a concept, it's on our homepage. But the problem is such tokens are under still more regulation than the insurance tokens. So we have this on our roadmap, maybe for 2019. And so long we need a classical risk pool, which is just backed by fiat or a certain amount of cryptocurrency.
When I understand you correct, the success of the token is based on your core business model, which is insurance.
Yes.
And when I understand you correct, you don't bring your platform to Allianz or to other big players, but your customer acquisition is done by you and your white label partners.
Yes.
So how do you make your customer acquisition? How do you get into the big companies to get you lots of customers to make the risk pool as fast as possible, as big as possible?
Yeah, I start with the example. For example, the flight delay insurance will be sold by travel agencies. There are many big travel agencies where we will partner with, and they bundle many customers. So we are, of course, doing B2C, directly selling policies to customers, but I think the volume will come from travel agencies who bundle volume and which sell our product as part of their products. For example, if you go on a travel portal and you buy a flight, then you can rent a car or rent a hotel room, and then you can directly buy our policy. And we are going to work together with such companies which bundle much traffic and many customers on their platform. So this is the B2B. Yep.
So I have two questions. The first question, are you going to apply a new policy to prevent, for example, the pre-sale to be all token to be sold by one investor or two investors, for example? Is there any policy to prevent that everyone has the chance to participate in the pre-sale token, and not one or small or a small group of investors buy most of the token?
Mm-hmm.
The first one. The second one, you have mentioned that right now there's about 30 people working on this project. So if there is no ICO so far, so how get this project funded so far as a from venture capital?
So first question, the process will go that everybody who wants to participate will KYC at the first step, and he will tell us how many tokens he wants to buy. And so everybody who registers before the TGE and who tells us how much he wants to buy, he will get a fair share of the whole package. So the only condition is that you register and you KYC, and then you can tell us how much you want to buy, and then we will ensure that you get a fair share of the overall package. The second, we have already funding. We have a seed funding from 3 individuals from the US, and we have also a token-based seed funding, because we have participated in a hackathon last year. And the participants of the hackathon could invest in our project, and they did so, and we were the most funded project of this hackathon last year. And last year that was $50,000, very teeny amount in comparison, but it was in Ether. And so because of the huge surge of the Ether price, this gave us enough funding to finance the whole project up till now, and also until start of next year. So basically, we were lucky we were funded at a moment where the Ether price was still low, and so the Ether price gave us enough runway to go through the year.
I also have two questions. So the first is, for the insurances with flight delay, it's really nice because you have all the data.
Yep.
And for the other case, you also have like the satellite.
Yep.
But for example, when you have a car crash, I mean, you don't have those technology things. You have, you probably need a third person to see, okay, is there a damage, and in which case. So how do you handle this?
How do we handle non-parametric insurance products? Because two which I showed, the flight delay and crop insurance, is so-called parametric insurance. Because it depends only on data. And of course, most of the insurance products are non-parametric. And so I could give two answers. One answer is for these types of products, we will have a new kind of claims management. Traditional insurance have experts which assess the claim, and they write a report, and based on this report, the insurance company makes a payout or not. And in the future, we can think of a prediction market which goes into this function. A prediction market is basically a way to get information about the outer world, the reality, on the blockchain. And because many people can vote on the outcome of a certain event, and they can decide which is the truth, basically. And we can use such mechanisms to decide if a claim is justified. But this is still very early stage. But if you are interested, come to Cancun. We have a speech on exactly this. Of course, this is all recorded. You don't have to travel there. You can see it on YouTube. This is the first part of the answer, prediction markets. The second part of the answer is that we are going in spaces where the whole underlying business process is already on blockchain. So we are not going to compete with all the classical insurance products which are existing, which are out of blockchain and which are highly efficient already, but we are going on new business models which are produced on the blockchain. For example, my solar grid example, this is a classical example, because solar grid on blockchain, you have all the data on blockchain, and you can very easily put a blockchain insurance on top of this, because you have already the data. And we expect that there are some areas which will boost in the next years. For example, supply chain will be a big issue in the next years, and insurance for supply chain will be a burner, and we want to do this. Or cyber insurance for cyber wallets. All you here, you have invested in tokens, and of course, you sometimes maybe you sleep bad because you think, where are my private keys? Because if the private keys are lost, your whole value is lost. And so we can build an insurance for such things. We can build wallets which are insurable, and this is also some product which we are working on. Just the guy afterwards.
It's a cool product that you built, but actually I don't get the problem that you solved, because in the beginning you said the problem that you actually solved is this misalignment of interest, that there is insurance, they cannot determine whether it was actually a fraud or not. And your claim was that you solved this. What you said just a minute ago was that you're not yet able to solve it actually. So what is your competitive advantage? Because I could also write some lines of code that monitor the flight delays and issue a PayPal payment based on that. I don't need the blockchain for that. So what's your edge?
Because if you write such a script, then it's you who decides by programming what happens, and if you don't like, then you switch off your server and everything is gone, and you can't switch off the blockchain. A smart contract on a blockchain is immutable, and it's not temperable, not even by us. As soon as we start this, it will run and it will pay out based on data, and we can't change its behavior anymore. And this is a change in the structure, And the same for prediction market, for example.
also what they don't do. So.
Yeah, but the blockchain is something which is independent of a single player in this process. Yeah, every classical process is always dependent on an intermediary which is controlling the whole process. Be it a bank, an insurance company, whoever. Yeah, the blockchain is a new player which can't be tampered with, and this is the basically difference. Yeah, and so everything in the whole process is decentralized or can be decentralized. I agree. For example, in our current model, we still have one central point. This is the data source. We have one data source, which is a company in America, which collects the flight data. And this is still a single source of failure, maybe, yeah? Because if they break away, then we don't have a replacement at the moment. But in a future version, we could change this, and we could take many data streams which all provide flight data. And then if one breaks away, the others are still there. And this can be done even in a way which is so decentralized, like the nodes of a Bitcoin or Ethereum network, where we have thousands of nodes. And as long as half of the nodes is working, the system is still safe and secure. And this is the idea behind it.
Okay, my other question was, so for the participants that place their products on the blockchain,
yeah.
Which requirements have they to fulfill to be able to place the product? Or are there any requirements?
Yeah, it depends on the role. For example, in actuary, he will have to prove that he has the expertise to build a risk model. Yeah? And other participants maybe use a template, and if the template contains all the regulatory stuff, then the participants don't need anything in experience, because they just use a template. For example, the sports insurance, where you just put in your name and your logo, and that's it, and then you have your insurance product, yeah, and it's white label and you can use it. So there is a big bandwidth of knowledge or experience you need to be participant of such a platform. Yeah, it goes from very high, like an actuary, which needs much of experience, to very low for people using just a template and clicking and putting their name in it. And so this is a broad bandwidth of possible participants.
I mean, they have to provide the money in a way, right? So they have to, in the case of a damage.
Of course, if you want to use a platform, then you have to have some tokens. Yeah. Depends on the service you want to use. If you want to use a high quality service, then you need to pay more than if you want to pay a low quality service. And so this is a whole ecosystem. Yeah? It's not finished, and it's open, and we don't have any idea. There is no border of this space. Yeah? This space can grow, and people with good ideas can go in and say, okay, I have a good oracle, and I can provide, for example, the car damage data in a new decentralized way. Maybe it's a network of experts which are decentralized, controlling each other. And so there are many ideas how you can build up such a decentralized space. And we want to go to start the whole thing, yeah. And the only thing which is central in this model is the architecture, of course, the rules of the game. And but these are controlled by the foundation, and the foundation is community driven. And so it's up to the participants to decide what the rule of the game should be.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You say you would like to raise at least $10 million during the token sale, preferably $25 million.
Yep.
A lot of ICOs lately have come under a lot of fire because of the huge amounts of money they raise. So how do you justify these amounts? Why do you need so much money?
Basically because if you raise 25 million, then you are still an ant in the big space of insurance. Yeah, to be relevant, to move something in the space, you need some amount of money. You can't start with 5 million. You don't get a license, and even if you have 10 millions, you won't be. It will be a nice niche project, yeah, and so we need a bit more to be a relevant player, and and of course the complexity of the project is not low. Yeah, it's a complex project with many moving parts, and we are building a platform, not a product. This is important. Yeah, it's much easier to build a single product. then to develop a platform which is community driven, and because you need the network effects, you need the participants, you need to organize all these people, and this is not so easy. So you need a bit more money, and I think most of this money will go in the risk fund. It will not be spent, but it will be used as a risk fund. And so the more we have, the more product and the more capacity we have to sell products.
Why don't you just create a product and later on derive the platform from this?
Yeah, we feel that the time is ripe for a platform, and people are looking for a platform. And so we see the bigger opportunity, and this is also more aligned with the blockchain philosophy, because blockchain is all about decentralization, and a single product is still a centralized point. So we think decentralized platform is the thing which we need now, and insurance is of course one of the harder things. It's much easier to build an online poker game decentralized, which is also very fine, or decentralized exchange, which is also very fine. But insurance is hard. Yeah, it's a hard problem, and so we need to start now, and that's the reason.
Are there already any products?
Yes, Flight Delay is production ready, and we are just
like
yeah.
They're already in place.
Not now, but I think in the next 3 weeks. Yeah.
Regarding ICO, I recognize you collaborating with Co-founder IT.
Yeah.
Could you describe what kind of advantage you expect from this collaboration?
Co-founded has already a big community. They have built up this community around some ICOs, and they are very professional, and they have much experience in the legal and operational issues which are connected with the token sale. And so we need some experts which have done this already. Token sale is nothing which you do on a Saturday afternoon, yeah, and so it needs much work, and it needs much expertise, and it needs also established network of participants who are informed, who know what is happening, and to also give you feedback. Yeah, and we are now we are very happy about the very qualified feedback we get from the co-founded community, which are pushing us forward. Yeah.
In your model for Flight Delay, for instance, whom do you charge for the gas it takes to write the contract to the blockchain? Do you include this cost into your model that calculates the policy? Or?
Yes. So basically, at the moment, it's like this. Technologically, the one who calls our contract has to pay for the gas. The gas is for all the others who don't so experienced in Ethereum. Ethereum smart contracts are run by so-called gas. This is a small amount of money, basically, which you have to put into the contract if you call the contract, and which pays the miners who process your contract. And our contract needs, of course, a little amount of such gas and a little amount of money to run. And basically, you have to pay for this gas in the moment where you apply for a policy. In a future version of Ethereum, which is already on the roadmap, there will be the possibility that the contract itself is pre-funded and can pay the gas cost for the participants. So then we can price it in. At the moment, we don't have it in the price of the policy, because the customer pays it himself. And in future, it will be more convenient, and then it will be part of the price of the policy.
Do you consider this a long-term problem, like in terms of other products? For instance, when you want to use the blockchain not only for transactions but only in order to store data. For instance, you have a Fahrtenbuch, I don't know the English word.
Yeah,
exactly. You just want to document some information, and for each entry into this Fahrtenbuch you would have to pay this gas. Nobody would do that. Do you think these issues will be solved soon, or do you see already any technological developments going into that direction?
Yes, there are two answers. The first answer is, of course, yes, this is a problem. This is a real problem, and it is not solved yet. The gas costs are, at the moment, they are quite significant, And if this would stay at this level, then this would be for sure be a certain barrier for future adoption of products and projects. But because everybody knows this problem, everybody's working on this problem. And there are two approaches. The one approach is that the gas costs are lowered. This is a process which is done by community voting on the Ethereum blockchain. And this has, for example, led to a so-called hard fork next week, where the overall reward for the miners is cut by 40%. So at the moment, every block gives you 5 Ether, and from next week on, you get only 3 Ether. So a decrease of 40%. And in future releases, there will also be an adjustment of this cost. And the other answer is that the blockchain will step back in importance because much of computation will happen outside the blockchain, and the blockchain will only be used as some kind of security level or a security layer. So there are already projects where you can get the same security of computation outside the blockchain with no cost. Because at the moment, if you have a simple computation, then it's performed by all the nodes of the blockchain. And this is very inefficient. And it's much more efficient if you can do it only by 2 or 3 participants by having the same security. So this is, for example, the TrueBit project, which is one of the core projects of Ethereum. And of course, we are looking at these projects because insurance will be computation intensive, and we will use these projects which perform most of the computation outside the blockchain at basically no cost.
So maybe one last question, because
okay.
we need to move forward with our presentation, and you'll be able to speak to Christoph afterwards, right? You're
yep. Okay, last question.
Just a quick question about the token model. So basically, you will have your own native token, the Ether token, right?
Yep.
But is it absolutely necessary, or is it possible to switch everything with Ether to pay for all the fees and the remaining of the payments and all this stuff with Ether?
So basically, it will be needed for some core functions, and of course, we can't dictate all the participants how they interact. So we can't force everybody to use the token, but it will be used in some central core functions, and this will lead that everybody needs the tokens, and it will be very convenient if you have tokens and use the tokens as a medium of exchange. And the other answer is an economic one. The token, the volatility of the token will only depend on the value of the platform. For example, we have much money in the risk pool, which will stabilize the value of the coin and the token. So we expect that our token will be much less volatile than other tokens, and this makes sense to use our token than other tokens because you have less volatility. And so these are two answers, in one economic and one technological answer. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm happy to answer any questions after the event, and thank you for your attention. And now, Hero.
Thank you, Christoph. It's very, very interesting. And now we go to the second part, to HEROcoin.
Okay, so hello guys, my name is Peinsold. I'm the CTO of HEROcoin, or Byte Heroes, which is the company behind HEROcoin. I want to start off with just a question, a simple question. Who has ever heard before this meetup from HEROcoin? Please raise. Okay, a few. Yeah, a little bit embarrassing. Have to talk to my marketing guys. No, it's quite a good thing because that's the reason why I'm here. and it's perfect for me to present in front of you guys. But to tell you why we started with this project HEROcoin, I have to start a few years earlier with our project, with our startup HEROcoin. We started in 2014 with the whole project. Back then it was called the social bet, and we had a mission. Our mission was, back then, disrupt online betting. We wanted to make a different thing, a different impression of online betting, a different way on how online betting works. And this is the reason why. Because in our opinion, online betting is simply unfair, the current way how it's done. The social characters, the inherent social characters of betting are completely lost. If you think of a normal bet, how you do it with your friends, you shake hands, you say, hey, let's bet on the football game, on the soccer game, let's bet for a beer or just a few euros. That's how it's done in the real world. And this is a social thing. You give the hand to your friend in a social manner, right? And in online betting, this is completely lost. You are anonymously, you bet against a professional, a bookmaker, which presents odds to you. And these odds are based on data. You can't believe it. They have tons of data. And they are, of course, in favor of the bookmaker and not in favor of the users, because they want to earn money. And I think every one of you knows this paradigm, this sentence, the house always wins. And our goal is to break this paradigm. So the solution, in our opinion, is HEROsphere. We want to bring back this social character into online betting. We invented some kind of player versus player system, where users challenge their friends or challenge the entire community and not a bookmaker. So we eliminated the bookmaker and just let the real users bet against each other. How do we do that, or what is our product? We try to combine two words, the best of two worlds. We have two big role models from America, which are called DraftKings and FanDuel. Maybe someone knows them. I think it's not even possible to bet on these sites from Europe, but maybe someone has tried it already. There are ways to do that. And they offer something which Americans always did: fantasy sports. In fact, fantasy football. This is the big product of both of them. And by the way, both of them are unicorns now. So they were startups around 4 years ago, and they are unicorns now. So they are worth more than 1 billion, both of them. Yeah, as I said, they took something which Americans always did, fantasy sports, made it digital, and enabled users to bet on fantasy sports with real money. And this was the big asset of these two startups of America. And if someone has already tried it, fantasy sports, you know, fantasy sports is a lot of fun. Really, it's makes really fun. But it's also very complex. You need time for it. It's very time consuming. And then we have a counterpart in Europe. And this counterpart is pooling games, which in German is called Tippspiele. I think most of you know them. Yeah, like you have in a company a pooling game, everyone pays in 2 or 3 euros and you bet on all the games of the Soccer World Championship, for example, and depending on how good you placed your bets, you collect points, and then you have a ranking in the end. And this is very popular in Central Europe or entire Europe, not so in America, and it's quite simple. It's really simple, but it does not make a lot of fun over time, because you have to bet on a lot of things, and you have to bet on the whole season, or maybe also a whole tournament like the World Championships. And we tried to pull out this gameplay fun of fantasy sports, these elements which make really fun, but cut out the complexity, and implement the whole thing based on pooling games. And this is really the thing which our product is now. In addition, we tried to shorten the cycles, like don't have season-long pooling games, only have daily or game day games, like a weekend, for example. One game day is a weekend in soccer. And in fact, we also started with soccer, but we found out that we had, I think, 20,000 users back then, and it started very, very good, but it is a big market and there are a lot of players there. It was hard for us as a small startup to get more users there without marketing budget, of course. And then we found another market for us. It was esports, because we tried different games. We tried Formula 1, we tried tennis, we tried, I'm Austrian, we tried skiing, of course. And then we tried an esports game. For those of you who don't know what esports is, it is simply what you see there. It's professional gaming. It's also that what my mother 10 years ago said to me, stop playing because it's a waste of time. Now the professionals earn millions with this. So tournaments, the prize money for one tournament in one game could be up to $10 million. It's a huge market. And we started with esports pooling games, and then our numbers exploded. Suddenly we had 10,000 new registrations within a few days. And this was completely new to us, and then we decided, okay, let's focus on this market. And this is the reason why. We made a little bit of research, and we found out that the market is anticipated to grow by a factor of 20 within the next few years. If you look only at the esports gambling, cash gambling market, which in fact is the market where we are in, it was in 2016 around 600 million. In 2020 it will already be 11 billion. So the market is awesome. And also the esports enthusiasts, compared to other communities, was 2014 it was 90 million people, like the ice hockey community. In 2019 it will be around 180 million people, which is the same number like American football enthusiasts. So esports will become one of the biggest sports types on the planet. If you're not convinced by that, you will see esports is becoming mainstream. I mean, in Germany you already know it. The League of Legends World Championships were back in 2015, I think, already in the Mercedes-Benz Arena. So esports is here. It is in the heart of Europe. It's not something in Asia or South America. It is really a global phenomenon. And you can see it right there at the bottom. Big soccer clubs like Paris Saint-Germain, Schalke, already Wolfsburg, I guess, Valencia, Red Bull, of course. They all bought or created esports teams which play professionally computer games. So esports is becoming mainstream. Just a few numbers to HEROsphere. We already have around 260,000 users on our platform. We have about 40 to 50,000 monthly active users, which is quite good without real big marketing budget. And we think it's because we are in a market which is constantly growing. Yeah, and our product is for community, is for peer-to-peer actions. And esports is something which is played peer-to-peer, They are organized in groups, in communities. That's what they add. And that's what our product is for. And now let's come to HEROcoin. So where's the problem now with this? I mean, the global online betting market is around 80 billion, around 90 billion. If you add the offline betting market, there are estimations for around 400 billion. So it's huge. And the betting provider, the online betting provider, make good money. But the thing is, you have to ask yourself, is betting, online betting, really secure? And I can tell you it isn't currently. We have a lot of cases for money laundering, a lot of cases for fraud, for manipulation, scammers, hackers, of course. There are estimations like $750 million per year are spent only for development for cheating software. It's a huge amount. The thing is, you do not only have fraud from the outside, you also have fraud from inside. There are betting providers which try to manipulate results, for example, yeah, or introduce bots and something like that. And this leads to loss of trust. Another thing is the betting providers are centralized, of course, and they act like escrows because they collect all the buy-ins and they have a really huge amount of these buy-ins in their accounts. And these are perfect targets for hackers, of course. Yeah, which is another big problem for them. And for you as user, a really big problem is the payouts. I don't know if any one of you has ever done online betting, but it is really not easy to get your money, your winnings out of this platform. You have a highly complicated KYC process. You have some barriers which they introduced because they just simply do not want you to withdraw your winnings. And you cannot be sure. You have to trust these guys. You have to trust these platforms that you will get your payouts. And if you know something about blockchain, then you know that this is a real big advantage of blockchain, right? To eliminate this. And of course, you have high transaction costs, as everywhere. And also the high margins of these bookmakers, of these middlemen in between. Does every one of you know what smart contracts are, or around the question around, does anyone not know what smart contracts are? Okay, great. Then I do not have to explain it, but we heard about smart contracts in the mid of 2016. This is where we started to learn something about blockchain, about the possibilities of this technology. And we realized that the smart contracts, of course, are just if this, then that algorithms. But this is a perfect fit for online betting and a perfect fit for us, for HEROsphere. And so we started to create our HEROcoin network, right? What we try to do is we have, in fact, 3 big players. We have the game providers, the players themselves, and the token holders. So the game providers are those guys who use the smart contract to create games on the blockchain. Yeah? These smart contracts are provided by us. They are open source, and we constantly develop them further to get more secure or to add more functionality. And everyone can use the smart contracts to deploy a contest, a game, on the blockchain. Players can buy into these games. So they transfer tokens into the contest, and then they're joining the game. When the game is finished, the players will get the the winners will get their reward, of course, automatically by the smart contract. So they do not have to trust the game provider. This is the major point here. They only have to trust the smart contract, and everyone who understands smart contracts knows if they are correctly programmed, you can trust them. We have certain functionalities like the provider reward. So the thought behind this was compared to mining, if someone mines Ethereum, he gets Ethereum as a reward. And this is the same thing here in the HEROcoin network. If someone creates a game, he should be rewarded for that. And this is the provider reward. It can be set from 0% of the pot up to as any amount you like. And the community decides if it's worth to play in this contest or not. I mean, I would not play in a contest where the provider reward is 80% of the pot, right? So we think there will be some community proof of the best providers, and they will remain in the system. And some interesting thing is also this general dividend, general reward, because for you as token holder, if you buy our token, maybe you're not interested in playing with them. Yeah, could be, why not? Then it's also interesting for you to hold these tokens, because we implemented a functionality that from each pot which is played, 1% will be cut away and will be distributed to all the token holders. So this is a distribution for of the tokens, because normally in betting sites, you have the problem that these big sharks, they take away all the money from the small fishes. Yeah. And we try to distribute at least a small amount back to the fishes again, so that we have a broader distribution of our coins, of course. Also here, the game provider can decide how much of the pot will be distributed. So the game provider really sets the variables. He sets the game provider reward, and he sets the general reward. But the key point here is the general reward cannot be less than 1%. It is at least 1%. This is fixed in the ICO contract. Okay. HEROcoin ICO facts. We are already in the ICO phase. It started on 14th of September, will end on 14th of October, so very soon. This is not really accurate, because in the ICO contract you set the end date not by date, you set the end date by a block number which will be reached. And when we started the ICO, the average block time was about 25 seconds. And then we calculated, okay, how many blocks will be mined until the 14th of October. And we add this to the current block number and set it in the ICO contract as the end block. But during the ICO phase, Ethereum got a little bit slower. Now the average block time is about 30 or 45 seconds. And now the end date is not the 14th anymore, it's the 17th. I think the 17th with the current calculations. Hard cap is 40 million USD or 48,000 Ether. And the price is, you get for 1 Ether, you will get 12,500 plays, the symbol of our token. Who can join? I mean, you are crypto investors, everyone can join an ICO. If you're new to this whole scene, then have a look at herocoin.io/contribute, or you will find the contribute button there. And we have written some guides how to create wallets, how to buy Ether, how to transfer Ether to an independent wallet like my Ether wallet, and how to invest into the ICO, of course. Because it's one thing I always tell people when I present never ever invest from an exchange. We had a lot of support requests from users which invested from an exchange, and if you have bad luck, then your money is lost forever. Okay, so never ever invest into an ICO directly from an exchange. Send your Ether to an independent wallet. We always give the advice to use my Ether wallet, and then from there invest into the ICO. I also want to tell you some challenges we had with our ICO, because we were the first ICO in Austria, or we are still the first and only ICO in Austria. And this is because of legal issues. The Austrian rights and also the German rights, because they are quite similar, they are very, very strict about financials and securities and so on. And it took us about 6 months of really nearly daily work with our lawyer to find a way through all this legal stuff. And now I am very proud to say we have found a way to be the first ICO which is legally correct to Austrian laws or European laws. But this was a really hard time for us. So if you want to make an ICO, if you have an ICO in mind, please keep in mind you need at least, I guess, at least 4 months for the legal issues. They are really hard. Then we had the market situation. Yeah, it was bad luck. I mean, if you think back to June or July, nearly every ICO which was started was a big success. A success up to hundreds, millions of dollars, like Tezos or Filecoin are the biggest, or Basic Attention Token was sold out in 24 seconds or something like that. But the market situation in September was a complete different situation. We had in August we had this Bitcoin fork, this hard fork, Bitcoin Cash. There we saw a little crash of the market. And then we had in September this China ban. So the Chinese government decided to ban ICOs, ban some cryptocurrencies, at least at a certain amount. Oh, sorry. Can you? Yes, and this was 2 days before the start of our ICO. So the market situation was quite bad for us. Then we had this JP Morgan fraud. Yeah, I think everyone knows it. Jamie Dimon, a clever guy, who said Bitcoin is fraud and scam and everything like that. And then when the market crashed, he bought a lot of them. So yeah, quite smart. And yes, this all together led to the market crash, and we saw it, of course, in our ICO, that the market was very doubtful. No one wanted to invest anymore. Everyone tried to hold. And this was a big problem for us, or is still a problem for us. Another problem within an ICO is the support. A lot of companies which do an ICO are just small companies like us. We have around 10 people in our office, so a small company, and suddenly we had thousands of support requests per day. So if you do an ICO, if you want to make it, just think about how to cope with such a high amount of support requests, because this is not easy, I can tell you. And then we had expectations of press and the community, of course, because I can tell you a little story. Only 2 days after our launch of the ICO, a big newspaper in Austria called me, and they said they want to make a little interview with me. I said, okay, nice, that's cool. And the first question of this guy was, please tell me, how disappointed are you currently? And I said, why should we be disappointed? Yeah, because I mean, if you compare it to other ICOs, 200 million, 150 million, and you had only $500,000 in 30 minutes, and I said, hey, think about what you're telling me right now, because 500,000 in 30 minutes is a big success. I mean, you cannot compare a small company from Austria with Facebook, Uber, and something like that. And this is really something which we are facing every day, these big expectations. Everyone compares an ICO with the best ICOs of all time. And this is quite hard for the founders, because you want to raise money, you want to have a successful project, and then it's already a failure if you do not reach your hard cap within the first 10 minutes. Right? Then another interesting learning was the marketing, because we had already 200,000 users in September on our platform on HEROsphere, so we knew how to do marketing. But marketing for ICO is a different story, because you can do Facebook marketing and so on, but the really important marketing is on Reddit, is on Bitcoin Talk forum. You need influencers on YouTube and such things like that. So the classical marketing is just one part of the story, and this was also a learning for us. And of course, whales, Bitcoin or crypto whales, are a big thing. No one knows how to find them. And the question which we had was, are whales good for an ICO or are they bad for an ICO? And we decided back then, we think they are bad for an ICO, because think about when you get listed on an exchange, you have these big whales which have discounts from 30, 50, 70%. And as soon as you get listed with your coin, with your token, the price of your token dumps, because they cash out. They already have 70%. Why shouldn't they cash out? This is a sure bet. And you see it on very big major tokens that exactly this happens. And we decided we do not want to have this. And then we said, okay, do not focus on the whales, focus on the community. We want a lot of contributors in our ICO with small amounts and not the big whales with big amounts, to simply prevent this dump after listing. I said we decided it back then. Now I would say this was the wrong conclusion, because you need the whales. The whales are influencers. If you have whales at the beginning of your ICO, then all the crypto guys, they see suddenly when the ICO starts, there are hundreds of thousands of dollars in the ICO within a few minutes. And then the community jumps on it and contributes, because they just don't want to miss out this, this chance. And we underestimated that. So we were not nearly, or it was for us not nearly possible to fill the hard cap. Yeah. It was simply too much just for a community project. We need these whales, and we're still searching for them. The question is HEROcoin already a success? And for us it is. As I said, we had already 500,000 in the first 30 minutes. Now we about, I mean, it depends on the ETH price, but we're at $1.5 million. It is, of course, one of the biggest crowdfunding projects in Austria. And as I said before, it is the first ICO according to Austrian law. And I just want to point this out again. I'm very proud of it, because we are now a pioneer in this area, and we are a role model for others. And I really hope to get more ICOs in Austria. I also hope to get ICOs in Germany. I mean, as I said, the laws are quite similar, so we could even be a role model for German ICOs. And if you look at Smith & Crown or lists like that. We are already now within the top 120 ICOs of all time, and for me or for us, this is already a success. We will see what will happen in the last few days. Just a short note. If you want to join our team, I'm very happy. If you want to work in Vienna, even better, because we are based in Vienna. And if you work with a highly passionate team, great individuals, then come to us. We are always searching for motivated people, because I think if you get people out of the community, it's the best asset you can get for your company. This is what we are searching for currently. So this was the short story about HEROcoin, about HEROsphere. If you have any questions, please ask, of course. Don't forget to invest if you're interested. Just a few days left. Yeah, and I'm here. I'm happy to get to know all of you. So come to me and just talk. Thanks. Yes, please.
Yeah, congratulations on your first ICO in Australia.
Austria.
Austria.
No kangaroos in Austria.
Yeah, actually, could you please ensure more information from authority side? For example, do they recommend more like controlling actions or the risk management or anything like that?
It was really a different story there, because we knew in April that we really want to do this ICO in September. Okay? And then we talked to our lawyer and said, yeah, we need a statement from the government if we can do that. And the lawyer just laughed at us and said, hey, within this few months you will never get a statement from the government. So our action was to get the best lawyers, to get the best tax professionals, and write papers. Write papers why our ICO in the current setup is according to the law in Austria. And we wrote these papers, or our lawyers wrote these papers, and sent them to the government. And we were very confident that this is enough, that we are according to the laws. And in fact, we had, on last Wednesday, our government said, hey, please come in, we have to talk to you. And we are not sure if you're according to laws, and we are not sure if we have to stop it. And we had this talk on Wednesday. It lasted for 3 hours, I guess. And it was so cool, really. I never dreamed of it like that, because they were so open to this whole topic. They just wanted to understand it. It's really hard for the government currently to understand what is blockchain, what is ICO, what are the possibilities, do they need to prevent anything, or just make it more secure for the investors, something like that. And in the end, we had the statement, hey, you made everything correctly, you made the KYC which is needed, you set it up like that is for sure no security. This is an important thing. If you decide to create a token, then be sure that you're not a security, or if you're a security, then you need to clarify everything what you have to do when you are a security, and this is not easy, I can tell you. Yeah. So yeah, it was a real long process. Now they have to do something, because we are already in the ICO phase, of course. There are investors which invested in us. And as I can say today, everything is clear.
So basically two focus. One is KYC, secondly is security.
Exactly. KYC is a really important thing here. If you can go through the KYC process on our site on HEROcoin.io. You do not have to invest if you go through the KYC process. And then you can look at it. We had a few points which we had to fulfill, and it was hard for us to make a good user experience out of it, because KYC is not always a funny thing to do. but we managed to get a process where you get through the ICO, through the KYC within, I think, a little bit more than a minute. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you said that you had asked for a statement, government statement
Mhm.
for your budget.
Mhm.
And this government statement based on already existing law, or this?
Yeah, yeah. Of course, you do not. They did not introduce new laws within 2 months. I mean, if you know Austria, then they will not introduce new laws within the next 2 years. So it's quite hard to get new laws in our government. I think it's the same thing here in Germany.
Then they should compare your project with something already established.
Yeah.
And what was this thing?
We found out that our token is quite similar to vouchers.
What?
Vouchers. So something where you pay for it, you get this voucher, and you can get to a shop, for example, and issue the voucher and buy something with it. And the token is quite similar to it, because we are at a certain point, we are a utility token, similar to Etherisc, because you can use the token to bet on the platform, right? And the ICO is seen like a voucher system, because you pay for the tokens. The tokens are vouchers to be able to bet on the site. And this is the law which we are using now, that tokens are vouchers. And it's also necessary to have such a generic system, because if you think about that, the HEROcoin cannot only be used on HeroSphere, of course. The HEROcoin is designed to be used on many platforms. It can be used for poker, it can be used for sports betting. Every betting provider can use it and build a crypto betting system based on HEROcoin. And this is also what we are trying to achieve, because then, of course, the worth, the price of our token will explode if you can onboard a big betting provider which has thousands of users, with the supply stays the same and the demand increases a lot, then you have the exploding of the price. Yes, I think the guy behind was first.
Short question, please correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you mention in your presentation that you will basically be paying out some of the profits to the token holders?
Yeah.
Okay, because that doesn't sound like a voucher to me. If I
Yeah.
pay a voucher, it doesn't pay me anything
This is
on top of it.
exactly.
This is basically like the core definition of a security, right?
No.
Getting
No.
one of the core components of security.
No, this is not correct, because the security has, I think it's 4 different characters.
Depends on which law you are
Yeah,
from, right?
true, of course. We are according to Austrian law, and I think there are 4 characteristics for a security. And I mean, if you mean dividends, for example, which is really a security, this is a bad word here. It's wrong on the presentation here. We call it not general reward, because it is not dividend. And why it's not dividend? Because it's not linked to the success of the community. It's not linked to the rewards which we achieve through our platform, because you will still get the general reward even if our company closes. It doesn't matter. It's not connected to us. It's not connected to any company, and that's the reason why it is not a security anymore. The general reward will stay there on the blockchain forever if it is used. It has nothing to do with the company. And for securities, all these 4 characteristics have to be fulfilled, and then it is a security. You also can look on, for example, the Howey test, which is very famous now, and there you can find all these things also.
How it is then if you are selling this to people from other countries? Germany, France, and I don't know, non-European countries, you will never know the law there, but you are selling on the internet stuff to consumers, so it could be a security in their country.
Yeah, but the ICO is issued by the company. So the tokens are sold by our company, by ByteHeroes. And this company is based in Vienna. And now we only have to meet the Austrian law, because the ICO is issued by an Austrian company. It doesn't matter if it is in security somewhere else. I mean, for security reasons, we dismissed the US investors, of course, like every other ICO does currently. But this is simply something which we do because we do not want to cope with requests from them. We are very confident that we even are not a security in the US. But if you go through this process, then you also need maybe more than 1 year to get a statement from US government. So it doesn't matter if it's their security, the company which issues the token is in Austria.
That's interesting because it's different in, I don't know, normal consumer products. If I'm selling you even a service on the internet from Austria to Germany, then the European law says that you are responsible also for the German law, right? You
know how we solved that? We solved it that we wrote in our token document, which you have to accept in the KYC process. We solved it in a way that is written there. You have to clarify if you are allowed to join this ICO. And this is a paragraph which is important in the token document, because then we said, okay, we told our investors, our customers, that we are acting according to the laws in Austria, in Europe, but we cannot cope with all the laws over the world. So the investor is reliable for what he's doing, in what he is investing, and that's how it's done now. That's how best practice works now in the ICO project. Yeah, if you have any further questions, then just come to me afterwards with a beer or something like that, and let's talk. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much for the insights from your process and the personalized stories. And I think now we're coming more on the other side, like from the first-hand experience from someone who's just going through the process of the ICO to someone who can support you with this. So very interested to hear about Iconiq Lab, what you're doing.
So maybe. So first of all, I would say thank you, Vladimir, who invited us. And I want to say it was. I spent 4 hours here in Munich, and it was very, very great city. So I think you are very, very lucky people that you are living here. Shortly about me. This is my second with blockchain connected company. So one thing is like I'm entrepreneur, and the second is I'm a researcher. So I made several researchers of blockchain use case, and I published them on my LinkedIn profile. On LinkedIn and Medium profile. So you will see, as well as I'm blockchain and ICO consultant for several companies, and one of them is LabToken. Now about Iconiq Lab. Iconiq Lab is accelerator which helps startups to issue their tokens. So in one sentence, what we are a Techstars only for token or crypto world. It would be like the same thing. So where is like its biggest game, or why to our mind, where ICO makes sense. For our mind, ICO makes sense as it starts to disrupt early stage investment. And what is like problem with early stage investment? If you are a startup, it takes up to 8 months in order to get money from VCs. It's usually very hostile process. So it's a lot of power plays. You need to face a lot of no's. And at the end of the day, if you will see how much time you spend and how much time you can be ahead, so it's not clear whether it's very optimal the way how startup should spend their time to go for VCs. And what else we observed, that there is a lot of cases when you take VC on the board and startups are not happy because the chemistry between VC and start founders not always working out. This is one problem from startup perspective. Second thing is when you are an investor. When you invest in VC, you usually take you invest for 7 to 10 months, from 7 to 10 years, and you don't have any like impact there. So you give money to them. They usually make 10 deals per year, and at the end of the day, you get money after 7-10 days. And then, what's the game changer here? The game changer is like ICOs. What it provides for investors bigger opportunity to select where to invest. It provides liquidity, and for startups it provides faster and more easier way to fundraise without giving power away. So this is like main idea behind ICOs to our mind. And here how we see that the old world, when like different institutional investors are, and it could be replaced by ICO. Only one thing which is very important and why we stand as Iconiq Lab is that still there is need for pre-ICO money. So because what we see in industry, still in order to company to be successful, it has to be funds in order to make ICO. So at the beginning of the year, I interviewed some 20 companies which made ICOs starting from December to March. The minimum threshold at that time was 50,000 euros, and now I would say it's around 150, because it's just the competition over marketing resources and all this legal pressure just increasing the costs very significantly and very fast. So about tokens, those are two good examples, but tokens could be very different one. One is like simply like cryptocurrencies. The most famous is Bitcoin. And second, of course, on the opposite way, you will see that there could be like security type of tokens. But between that, it could be very different one. It could be like some kind of debt type tokens, or there could be like utility type of tokens, or like let's say membership tokens, as we will provide. Therefore, the way how you can see the tokens, it could be very difficult and widespread. But why it's important? Because the way what kind of token is, it just start to be more regulated in different ways. So it's during that process, it's very important to understand what kind of token you are and what kind of regulations you may face. So one thing when I'm personally advise liquid asset token, it's a token which helps crypto investors to invest in real world assets. And for them, it's quite easy. That if you have this token, then only if you have this token, you can purchase fractions of real estate or fractions of floats and so on. So this means, from this perspective, it's like a utility of token. So you cannot make any action in this platform without that token. So what we see here, this is a very important change, is this year that of course ICOs start gaining the game. So it's like it's 80 times more rise than last year. It's over they start overbeating VCs in particular segments in the blockchain. So if you see where blockchain investments come, it's not anymore from institutional money, but it's more from ICOs. And I think soon this will be more this areas where ICOs will overcome will be expanded. For example, I think this is very good will be artificial intelligence projects. I have heard a lot of projects where could be like when mergers and acquisitions could be done by ICOs and so on. But where is the problem if you are the startup and if you are an investor? One problem is here is that simply you still need the money. You still need money in order to run ICO campaign, in order to pay lawyers, and in order to pay smart contract coders. For example, to code quite simply smart contract, in Berlin it costs around 20,000 euros. So in order you have normal lawyer, you need around the same money. And then there is still need money into into marketing. Therefore, what's very important is there still need to money, and somebody should invest at this stage. Second problem is a lot of scams and frauds. So there is a lot of investors which doesn't know and ask where to invest. It's very hard to understand whether this project is good or not, whether this team is good is good enough. So so there's a lot of buzz, but it's very hard to understand which is good and which is bad. Legal frameworks. It's clearly that its game start changing very rapidly. What was like at the beginning of this year or in the first quarter, not anymore applies on the second, on the third quarter. And I know that in my country, in Latvia, there's a lot of startups which face now the problem because regulations start appearing, and they were in the process before July. They're starting without regulations, and now it's very hard for them, and they are in very insecure position because they are not knowing whether they will be in jail or not, and whether they even can go to United States, you know, because it was before July was different rules, not after July. It was after SEC regulations. The same thing is on our token contracts. It's not always clear whether investors are protected in these smart contracts. Of course, it's over-liquidated projects. You know, it's amazing. Some ICOs 2 to 300 millions. So what kind of startups they are, you know, or what they can do with that money. One of my best friends and partners in whom I help with some services in Berlin, he just described now landscape of ICOs. It's like if some investor wants to invest in token, sometimes the token is like Lamborghini, you know, and you and I as like owner of this project, you give me permission to ride this Lamborghini, but what happened when I'm crashed the Lamborghini? So how value Lamborghinis then you have here? So it's a lot of problems with that, and of course lack of transparency. Nobody does know where money goes and so on. There is of course very good now initiatives which come from Sentiment, for example, regarding reporting and regarding different reporting tools, regarding how wallets, what kind of information you can take from wallet and then to give new investor communities. But still, there is, if you're comparing like old world with new world, then still there is lack of transparency. And then we came in the game. Like what we want to do, we want to like for investors, we want to source and we want to source best investment opportunities. For startups, we would like to have to give the money in order they can survive till the pre-sales. We coach and accelerate teams, and we provide transparency for crypto market, because any like company which are in our accelerator are obliged to follow some transparency and reporting tools after an ICO. So what actually we do, we provide seed funding, we connect to investors, and we help with token models, and we help clear out all legal mess. So our program is a 12-week program. So from 12 week, if you are startup, if you know some startup, I ask if you can apply now, and the first program starts on February. From 12 weeks, you need to be 3 weeks in Berlin. On the first week there is a mentor day. On the first day is mentor day, when you just assemble mentors from a mentor team. It means that you have one who is good on technology, blockchain technology. One is who is good on token investor, and third who is good on business development. And after that, 11 weeks you work with your token and with your business idea in order to create white paper and presentation for our token holders, because our token holders are those who have rights to participate in your pre-sale. So we organize pre-sales for you, and then on the 12 weeks, then the pre-sales are happening, and after that we just support and guide your ICO marketing strategy based on the way how you would like to proceed. And then the last stage is like post ICO, when we train you how to make investor relationship, because the day when you have issued the token and the token is traded in secondary in exchange, it's different the day before that, because anything what you communicate and how you communicate influence the price of the token. And was one thing, and second week we just ask you and explain you what are like reporting standards and how you should report your progress. So we have already signed with some companies. One is with Topple. It's regarding company which would like to provide financial services, different financial services in developing countries. Then we have Iconiq. It's like first decentralized gaming power like hedge fund, and their like token will be used like to access different premium kind of services. And Healthbase, which is like more like health-based startup. So how our thing? So we will issue our token on November, December. So like our token will be a membership token. Most probably there is like discussions now between whether we will choose like Swiss way or German way. We could be one of the first in Germany who will make the token here. Our token will give advantages, two significant advantages. One is to invest in early. So if you will have our token, you can invest in pre-sales only in that condition, and you can invest and you can buy tokens based on how much tokens you have. So it's like proportional thing. More you have tokens, much more you can buy. And second thing, you can get information faster regarding what we gather from our companies. We would like to be like a global project, so we will start with Berlin, and then we would like to go in Asia and United States, and it was like at the end of next year. So we would like to be at least in one place, and our like idea is that on the year 2018, so we will be like we will operate like as fully global accelerator. Around our team, Patrick is CEO. He experienced in venture capital. He has experience both to working in venture capital in the United States and in Germany. And he's like from the United States, who lives in Berlin. Me, who has like blockchain, more like I'm entrepreneur, and I have more like blockchain experience, but more like from business development and from CEO perspective. And Max, he's German. He worked for venture developer, one of the biggest venture builder in Cologne. Arabda is marketing director. She's from India, but she now works in Spain, in Madrid. And Lukasz, he works. He's a very good experience in where to allocate money, because he worked a lot for private equity funds. So we are more like, as you see, we are more like for not only a team which is good for startups, but we are a team which could select the best investment opportunities for investors as well. So we have some partners already. So we have a Frankfurt School of Blockchain Center. We have a TAS, Token as Service. It's one of the hedge funds in crypto hedge funds, and we have a Sentiment. We are one of the first who are in the program of transparency and reporting, and we have F6S as well. So it's shortly about our project. So if you know a startup, some startup which would like to participate in our program, I would recommend them to go to our homepage, Iconiq Lab, Iconiq with Q Lab.com, or find us in F6S.com, our program, and apply. Or you can find me in LinkedIn, Sanders.Murins, and just ask him to write me a message, and I will explain. I will explain. The same thing if you are like token investor and you would like to buy our tokens, I would recommend to write me directly, and we will have then maybe Skype or any other conversation on. So thank you very much, and now question time.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. Why do I need to buy you a token? I'm sorry, but I'm getting confused. This ICO is already ongoing ICO, or is it finished?
No, we will launch our ICO in November, December. So we will launch it, I think, on 12th November.
Okay, and then the next question is like, why do I need to buy?
Yes. So you need to buy another. Only those who have our token, only those will have opportunity to participate in pre-sales of companies which we will accelerate.
And currently you don't accelerate any companies, right?
Yes.
Are you already accelerating some companies?
We helping with consulting. I helping with Tula token. My partners with others. First batch will be in 1st February. Okay. So the program will launch on the 1st February.
You have mentioned that you are going to accelerate and fund new project, selected project.
Yes. Yes.
Where does this fund come from?
This fund will come from ICO.
It will be coming.
Yes. So if not, then thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this. So I guess we are approaching the end of the, let's say, official or formal part, if it's formal. And now you have all the opportunity to grab some beer and pretzels and talk to the presenters, maybe get some additional information. As you know, we'll continue with this type of events. So if you have an idea or suggestion, or you want to propose someone to present here, just let me know. You can contact me over the meetup. So thank you very much, and see you out there. Thank you.